Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I've been hearing from a bunch of you that my recent videos aren't popping up in your feed the way they used to. YouTube's algorithm can be a bit moody, so the best way to make sure you never miss an upload is to turn on all notifications for the channel. Here's how to double check yours. It only takes a few seconds. On your phone, in the YouTube app, tap my channel name under any of my videos, or search for it. Just to the right of the subscribed button, you'll see a bell icon. Tap the bell and select All. That tells YouTube to ping you every time I go live or drop something new. On your desktop, within YouTube's website, head to my channel page. Hover over or click the bell icon next to the subscribed button. Choose All Notifications. Here's a pro tip. Make sure notifications are enabled on your device settings too. If they're blocked at the phone's operating system level, YouTube can't push them through. Thank you for taking a moment to do this. Your support means everything. And with the bell turned on, you'll be the first in line whenever I post. See you in the next video. I, a 45-year-old woman, married Adam, 40 male, 3 years ago. Adam is an architect with a grin you can see from space and an annoying habit of whistling while he cooks. I lecture in English literature at the local university. Basically, I get paid to talk about dead poets and grade papers scrawled at 3 a.m. over energy drinks. Long before I appeared, Adam was married to Clare, 38 female. They were college sweethearts. Instagram-ready wedding arch, monogrammed luggage for the honeymoon, starter home with a painted front door. 2 kids followed, Sam, who's now 10, and Lily, who's 8. To the outside world, they were the kind of couple who send matching pajama Christmas cards. Inside the walls, Claire was conducting what she later called a consensual exploration of desire, with a scrub tech from her hospital. Adam found the emails, the loyalty points statement, and a selfie taken in a hotel bathroom featuring a towel embroidered with the wrong hotel chain. He confronted her, and she crumbled. First excuses. Overnight shifts are lonely. Then honesty. I'm not sure monogamy is my thing. Then bargaining. Open marriage? Adam's line in the sand was fidelity. The divorce clock started ticking before the month ended. Because Sam and Lily were toddlers, Adam and Claire made an ironclad pact. No public mudslinging. Court documents cite irreconcilable differences, period. Claire kept the house so the kids' bedrooms stayed unchanged. Adam pays generous support and has them alternate weeks. Most of the extended family simply assumed Adam fell out of love or had a workaholic phase. Claire never corrected them because letting people imagine she was the long-suffering single mom earned her sympathetic casseroles. Adam didn't correct them because his loyalty to his children outweighs any urge to shout receipts from rooftops. Enter my future mother-in-law, Evelyn, 67 female. Picture a retired head mistress who watches Downton Abbey on loop and begins sentences with, "In my day." She worshipped Claire. They gossiped over Earl Grey, scoured antique fairs for porcelain teacups, swapped recipes for sourdough before the virus made it cliché. When Adam moved out, Evelyn's narrative solidified. Adam had abandoned his family. Claire bravely soldiered on, and if the marriage failed, it was clearly his doing. That narrative was laser-etched into granite the day I showed up. I met Adam at a charity 10K 2 years after his divorce. He was sketching. I was pretending not to die before the finish line. We complained about chafing balm, and then we traded numbers. We clicked. Same snark quota, mutual love of black and white movies, both fluent in gallows humor. The only rub was kids. I'm 5 years older, and after 2 miscarriages in my 20s, medically advised not to pursue pregnancy. Adam's kids were enough for him. He just wanted a partner who didn't treat fatherhood like baggage. We married 18 months later. The engagement dinner was, politely, a dumpster in slow motion. Evelyn greeted me with, "Well, at least my son already has kids, as you would not be able to give him any," and then spent all evening talking to other guests about her grandkids and how amazing of a mother Claire is. She nicknamed me Miss Havisham. I teach Dickens, so I caught the allusion to an elderly spinster haunting an empty house. Classy. Over the next 2 years, Evelyn's digs became wallpaper. When the kids returned from weekends at her place, they parroted lines like, "Stepmommy works too hard because older ladies get tired easily." Adam shut it down every time he heard it, but Evelyn just sighed about thin-skinned millennials. Then, pancreatic cancer swept in like a burglar. Last December, Evelyn was pruning roses. By January, she was in a hospice bed in her living room with an oxygen tube and a morphine pump. Doctors said weeks, not months. Adam took family leave to sit bedside. I split time between grading finals and managing pills, bedpans, and slow sips of ginger ale. Claire proved surprisingly available. Her ICU schedule meant she could pop in after night shifts, and the kids' artwork brightened the room. I kept interactions polite. Evelyn still favored Claire, but severe illness sanded most rough edges. I thought we'd reached something resembling peace. 3 nights ago at 1 a.m., the hospice nurse called saying Evelyn was alert and asking for immediate family. Adam and I burned rubber over. Claire was already there in her scrubs. She lives 5 minutes away. The nurse stepped into the hall to give privacy. Evelyn motioned for a leather folio on the nightstand, her lawyer's folder. Hands trembling, she opened it, looked from Adam to Claire, and pronounced that she had updated her will. The house, the sizable investment portfolio, and her late husband's war-era coin collection were all going to Claire. Her reasoning? Claire had borne her bloodline and faced single motherhood with dignity after Adam walked out. She ended with a coup de grace, turning to me and whispering that maybe next time Adam would choose a woman who would give life instead of draining it. I wish I could write that I rose above it, that I invoked therapy mantras and breathed through the insults. But the truth is that something primal splintered. Years of snide infertility jabs, nights massaging lotion into her bruised forearms while she complained my cooking lacked nurture, the second-class status at every holiday meal. Everything boiled to the surface. In a voice far steadier than I felt, I fired back that Adam hadn't abandoned anyone. He'd left Claire because Claire had been cheating in hotel rooms and was on her second affair when he discovered it. I added that rewarding betrayal while punishing me for a uterus that retired before I met Adam seemed unfair, even by Evelyn's Victorian standards. You could hear a pin drop through the beep of the oxygen monitor. Claire's eyes went saucer white, Adam's jaw absolutely unhinged. Evelyn let out a ragged gasp and spiraled into a coughing fit until the nurse rushed in, adjusted meds, and coaxed her back into a morphine haze. In the hallway, Adam's anger was a low-voltage buzz rather than a scream, which is worse if you know him. He reminded me that we had promised never to reveal Claire's cheating so the kids wouldn't know their mother had detonated their family. I said Evelyn was sentencing him to disinheritance under a false premise and kicking me on the way. He said timing mattered. He went back to hold his mother's hand. I drove home, adrenaline shaking my spine. Morning brought Claire hammering on our door. She accused me of humiliating and hurting a dying woman during her final lucid moment. I countered that I had corrected a lie told specifically to wound me. Adam arrived home mid-afternoon, exhausted and smelling of antiseptic. He reported Evelyn had drifted in and out, mumbling Claire's name and crying softly. The lawyer said changing the will again was impossible. Challenging it later would require proving Evelyn lacked capacity at the moment of signature. Murky legal waters. Adam looked resigned. It's her money. Let it go. What he really wants is a quiet goodbye, not a probate war. Claire, naturally, stands to inherit a house the local market values around £700,000, plus about £120,000 in diversified funds. I'd be lying if I said the dollar signs don't sting. Watching my husband pour night after night into bedside care, only to have his childhood home gifted to the woman who betrayed him, is acid on an open wound. And yet, if I hadn't snapped, the will was still the will. So was my motive justice or revenge? I've replayed the moment 100 times. I do regret yelling. I regret shattering what little serenity a dying woman had. I also don't regret speaking the truth after being skinned alive by her for 2 solid years. The kids still don't know the adultery plot twist. My outburst occurred at 2 a.m. with no minors present. If they learn it, it will be because the adults they trust chose to tell, or because one day they're grown and savvy enough to ask. Tonight, Adam asked me to apologize, to Claire and to Evelyn, so we can focus on hospice, not hostility. I'm weighing it. A sincere apology for timing, maybe. A lie to pretend Claire didn't cheat? I can't swallow that. I'm also haunted by a practical question. When Evelyn passes, Clare will own the house. Knowing the home he grew up in now belongs to the person who dismantled his marriage makes me feel seasick. Maybe that's petty, but grief and pettiness share a border. I'm bracing for tomorrow. The nurse said Evelyn might have 48 hours, maybe less. Adam plans to spend the night again. I'll relieve him at dawn so he can shower. If she wakes up and asks about the night's fireworks, I'll answer, but gently. Perhaps I'll say only that emotions ran high, that everyone loves her, that we're grateful for her life. Maybe that's enough. Am I the a-hole for dropping the cheating truth bomb on my mother-in-law during what might have been her final hours and causing her stress? That's a tricky one. OP's mother-in-law took a final swing at OP from her deathbed and tried to rewrite history to punish both OP and OP's husband. OP broke a promise, yes, but it was a promise that benefited only the person who broke up the family in the first place. OP didn't stress a dying woman. She chose to dispense one last poisonous dose of favoritism, and OP finally inoculated the room with the truth. Yeah, maybe the time and place were not the best, but how much more disrespect can OP take? Enough is enough. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Everyone sucks here. Mother-in-law was vile. Claire cheated. But you and Adam made a pact for the kids, and you shattered it the second your feelings got pinched. Timing matters. You could have pulled Adam aside afterward, let him decide whether to confront his mom. Instead, you torpedoed the secret in front of everyone, knowing mother-in-law had hours left. Sometimes keeping your word to protect kids means swallowing unfair crap. You didn't manage it, so mother-in-law 90% jerk, you 10%. You're the a-hole, gently. I'm a hospice nurse. End-of-life stress spikes blood pressure and pain levels even under sedation. Your outburst probably brought her a rougher last stretch. I sympathize. You were provoked. But you're a grown-up who knew her condition. The promise to shield Sam and Lily wasn't just about public image. It was about preserving a stable memory of their grandmother and mother. Now that memory risks contamination because you couldn't hold it in for 48 more hours. My parents, 71 female, 69 male, had 3 children. I have a brother 6 years older than me who died at 20 in a freak car accident, and a sister who is 10 years younger than me. My mother has let me know on numerous passive-aggressive occasions that I was an accident. They never flat out told me they were disappointed I was born, but when a kid hears that he was unplanned and caused inconvenience by being alive, how is he supposed to take that? I really looked up to my older brother. He was big, strong, a hero to me. He protected me from jerks, and lo and behold, often those jerks were our own parents, and taught me how to fight so I could protect myself too. He was also quite handsome and popular, and was a good athlete. He played starting tight end for his high school football team, and was a reserve player of some note for his college. During the late 1980s, people would, no joke, tell him he looked like a very young Marlon Brando. In short, he was a man to me, and an example to me in a way that my petty, weird, manipulative punk of a dad could never be. As an adult, I can see my parents were hilariously, tragically and awful. As a kid, I tended to think something was wrong with me. If my brother had any deficiency, it was that he wasn't book smart or musically gifted. Straight C student. My parents saw that my brother was handsome, affable, and a good athlete, so they spared no expense in trying to make him something he wasn't in the classroom or with the piano and violin. When I came along, my mom and dad always treated me like an afterthought. I noticed a definite difference the way they treated him compared to the way they treated me, and it wasn't due to a difference in our ages. They just behaved in a way that let me know that he mattered more than I did. My brother wasn't like them, though, and he was always really nice to me. For example, when I was 10 and showed real, natural ability with the piano they bought specifically for him, he tried to get them to stop paying for his lessons because he didn't have musical talent and he hated the piano anyway, and suggested they pay for me instead because I showed some talent. Well, obviously they vetoed the idea, and they never paid for me to have music lessons. I now play the piano part-time at a local bar as a for-fun job, having paid for lessons myself as an adult. He also tended to notice that when I was a kid, my parents underplayed my birthday compared to his, So he would spend his own money to take me out and get me presents and see that I was treated like I matter. I was in the 5th grade when my sister was born, and I knew that I was even more of an inconvenience than ever before. I was also often used as a babysitter for my sister when she was a kid. They babied her and were, as always, super nice to my older brother. I was the Jan Brady of the family and became an overachiever, but never got any validation from my parents. My parents spared no expense with my brother's college, too. He won a partial athletic scholarship, and my parents paid for the rest. Long story short, he was jogging for exercise one night, and a drunk driver hit and K'd him at a crosswalk. I was devastated, of course, as were my parents. My parents took out a lot of their frustration and grief on me, never ceasing to insinuate and remind me that I could never replace my brother, that I was inferior to my brother. Why are they stuck with me? This isn't the adult, bitter me recounting things in my favor. This is me after years of therapy looking back calmly and rationally. My parents instilled in me the idea that they wished that if it had to be one of us who died, that it could have been me and not my brother. I was also moderately overweight and short as a teen, and this made me feel even worse. It didn't help that my dad always compared me, unfavorably, to my brother in terms of height and athletic ability. Your brother was 6'3" when he was your age. Gee, thanks for this helpful advice, Dad. I'll have a word with my legs and tell them to stop being so short. Because, as you know, my genes are my fault and not yours. When it came my time to go to college, nothing from my parents. No offer to pay, no offer to help, no praise for my perfect marks, no praise for the fact that I had gotten numerous awards in high school for science and engineering. They never attended any of my ceremonies and only attended my graduation, and even then, only begrudgingly it seemed. Their only comment was the passive-aggressive observation that I was just a co-salutatorian and not the valedictorian. I had never, even once in my entire academic career, gotten less than an A, outstanding, exemplary, for an academic or elective mark, from kindergarten to 12th grade. I got perfect marks in college, too. So I didn't need their help to pay my way through school, and by this time, I was fully aware that they didn't like having me around. I was offered several full-ride scholarships, both in and out of state. When I said I wanted to take a scholarship across the country, my parents just shrugged. No comments like, "Oh, stay near us. We want you near home. We'll miss you." So I thought, F it, and blew town. I worked at a Rite Aid drugstore to supplement my scholarships. I majored in aerospace and minored in physics. All through college, I made the effort to go through the motions of visiting my parents on holidays. But I could tell I was just as meaningless to them as I always was. By the time I started graduate school, also full-ride scholarship, I just said au revoir to all of them and stopped calling. I could see how much I mattered to them once again, because they never once tried to call me after that, or at least until recently. I've been working in aerospace for 17 years now. I make well over $200,000 a year. I own my own house, 2 luxury vehicles, an RV, and a motorcycle. And I've been married for nearly 20 years to a beautiful woman, 40, who chose me before I was even close to having these things, and who has her own career in literature. We have a 5-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. From my own experience with my parents, I know exactly what not to do with my kids. My sister got married at 19 to a guy I privately thought looked like a loser and a user. My parents spared no expense for her lavish wedding. At the time, I wasn't yet in my current, strong financial position, but I was still making a great salary. I attended the wedding, and everyone was just as cold to me as I remember them. No one congratulated me on the fact that I was now fully grown. I hit my growth spurt at 20, and over 6 feet tall, and now very slender and fit. Oh well. I gave my sister $5,000 as a present. I also had a chance to play the piano at the wedding because my sister asked me to after a family friend remarked that I had mentioned taking private lessons. Everyone was enthusiastic about my playing and backslapping me. Not a peep from my parents, of course. My sister has a 6-year-old daughter. Sister divorced her husband 2 years ago because, surprise, surprise, he was a loser and a user and completely useless. He won't give her child support because he has no money. So my sister moved back home with my parents. She wants to go back to school. She had gotten a degree in modern art that my dad paid for, But she never got any work with it, and now she doesn't think she can land a well-paying job with it unless she adds to it or gets a different degree. And now my parents suddenly remembered my phone number. They didn't say so, but from what I gather, they blew through all their money indulging her and their own tastes. They regularly go on lavish vacations. So now they think it's my duty as her rich big brother to step in and pay. My mom says that it would be classy for me to offer to pay since my sister could really use the money, and I didn't spend a lot of time with her when she was young, because you moved out so early. Okay. She also says that now that she and my dad are getting old, it's a shame that I hardly visit, and they're confused as to why I'm so arrogant and not seeing them more often. Total gaslighting. I notice my dad has nothing to say about all this because he knows what really happened. To this day, I'd love to smash a fist like a freight train right into his face. He told me that my brother was always ashamed of me soon after my brother died. And this was after my brother told me to my face a few weeks earlier that he would always be there for me and that he loved me and that no one is ever going to hurt you if I'm standing. And in a way, my brother's been with me my whole life. I am inspired by him when I want to succeed. My dad is a jerk. The thing is, I know my parents are full of crap, but I don't want my niece to suffer. She's the same age group as my own kids, and I hate the idea of her going without. I never had a bad relationship with my sister, but she takes after my parents and is something of a self-involved narcissist. I am financially in a position to help pay, but I dislike the way they've all treated me since I was a boy, and my own kids will be in college in a blink of an eye. Also, who knows, maybe I could get fired tomorrow, and this whole lifestyle will come crashing down. Under what terms should I offer money? Should I offer any at all? If not, how can I help in other ways? It's a shame for your sister and her daughter, but their situation is a result of your sister's bad life choices. It's not your job to bail them out of these problems. You have to set up a boundary here, because it won't stop with this money, I suspect. I imagine that it will be your sister's college. Then she needs money for her own home. Then your parents will start to suffer as they get older, and they'll need something. And, of course, you are a terrible son if you refuse to pay for it, and so on and so on. You have 2 children of your own to look after, and while you've built an enviable life for yourself, you are not exactly a millionaire. Take care of your own wife and children first. I, 29 female, moved to a new state a few months ago after my brother, 34 male, invited me to stay with him until I could get my own place. He did not give me any clear-cut rules at all. I pay rent. Things have happened that put me on edge, like him and his wife, 29 female, sitting me down on Sundays to have meetings about how I was bettering myself and what jobs I'd been looking at. They came into my room and sat down on my floor a week into me being there, demanding that I allow them to look through my email to see what jobs I was applying to. It got to the point that they were mentioning that I needed to exercise more. I drink too many energy drinks. I don't eat as healthy as they think I should. They would hold things against me like me mentioning that I enjoy bike riding in passing, and then getting mad that I didn't get a bike. You don't hold yourself to what you say. I had applied to a banking job that I was excited about, but the hiring process was long. So in the meantime, I got a job serving at a steakhouse. The hours were long, and I often did doubles, so I'd end up coming home around 11 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. I'm honestly not much of a drinker, but I had a beer after work here and there. I can't drink a whole one, just to take the edge off after work. I'd say I had 1 beer once or twice a week. They found out about this by going into my room when I wasn't home and looking through my things because they were looking for a missing glass. They held a meeting, or an intervention, stating that they were worried about me and thought I had a problem. I honestly don't. But truly, it just turned into a bash fest about everything they thought I was doing wrong. They also recorded the whole conversation without my knowledge to send to family. Things were awkward and tense. My other brother and his wife flew to our state for a wedding, and then they all sat me down and bashed me. It was just a lot and overwhelming and hurt my feelings, but I tried to get past it. Things were okay for a while. I just finished training for my banking job and work from home. I hardly go out as I work a lot. My boyfriend lives an hour away. We were already planning on moving in together before the year ends, especially with my better paying job. I hadn't seen my boyfriend in a couple of weeks. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, but also my birthday. He came and picked me up and took me out to get food and spend time together. We watched videos on my phone while eating ice cream, which drained the battery and my phone died. My charger is breaking, so I stopped by the store to get a new one, and we headed back home. I plugged my phone in and let it charge, and we pulled up to my house around 11:30. I was really enjoying his company, and we sat and talked for a while before I decided to head inside at 12 a.m. The doorknob is one of those electronic ones with a pin pad. Usually I walk to my door alone, but I had presents and some snacks, so my boyfriend followed me carrying the cake he'd gotten me. I tried my code, but couldn't get in. I was confused, so I turned my phone on and had texts from my brother's wife stating that if I got home later than 12, I'd be locked out. I didn't see them as my phone had died. We've never spoken about a curfew or made rules that I need to be home by a certain time. I came home later than that all the time when I worked at the restaurant. I didn't know what to do, so we went back to the car. We ended up having to pay $300 for a hotel room at late notice and didn't get into a room until 3 a.m. because everywhere was booked because of Thanksgiving. The original plan was my boyfriend was supposed to go home, but drive back the next day to pick me up to go to my grandma's Thanksgiving today. But I only had the clothes on my back, no toothbrush, no way to take my makeup off. Today, I ended up having a day-long panic attack, crying in my boyfriend's car, and didn't go to my grandma's Thanksgiving, as we both look a hot mess, and I'm just really upset. I feel conflicted. If my brother and his wife don't like me getting home late, it's fine that they feel that way. But to lock me out of the house with less than an hour's notice just seems so cruel to me. Especially on Thanksgiving, my birthday. It ruined my plans for today as I couldn't get ready to go see my grandma and family. But I don't know if what I did is truly that bad and I should have known better. I feel like it was a ridiculous reaction, but I don't know. She hasn't texted me back, so I've been out all day just crying because I'm very stressed out. I'm scared I'll go back and still can't get in. I'm scared they're going to corner me again and lecture me or fight with me. I keep thinking, what would I have done if my boyfriend didn't walk me to the door and left, and my phone was at 2% and was locked out? Sleep in my car? I was wearing light clothing and shaking like a leaf on the porch. I still haven't gone home because I'm scared and literally sick from the anxiety. Any advice would be welcomed. I'm not sure how to process or react to this situation. You need to get out of there fast. This is toxic as hell. They're controlling your life and manipulating you relentlessly. And the rest of your family isn't much better. Move out by yourself. In a few months, the anxiety will subside and you'll realize you don't have to worry about people going through your stuff, etc. That's when you can have your partner move in. And be sure you're not continuing weird toxic behaviors without realizing, out of conditioned terror.